Alright peeps, so for video number 2 about our Mekanism reactor, we're going to be working on the solar evaporation towers. These guys are very expensive to make, but they're all in all pretty simple as far as structurally, so let's go ahead and look at what these guys take. So, got your solar evaporation blocks, dynamic tank surrounded by copper ingots, and then your dynamic tank is just steel in a bucket. So next you've got your solar evaporation valve, so dynamic valves, steel casing, a lot more copper, and then the solar evaporation controller. You got a block of copper and glass and energy, lotta, and then your advanced solar generators. You got these things, and then you're going to need quite a bit of this, but and these little guys are just pretty time consuming, the smaller solar generators that go inside. So you'll need 4 of these, 1 of these, 2 of these, and close to 200 of the solar evaporation blocks. So alright, let's go over here and get started on this. So you're going to need 2 different towers. One's going to be making brine, the other one's going to be turning that brine into lithium. So they have to be 4x4. It will not become a multi-block structure unless you have it as a 4x4. So do a solid base 4x4. There we go. And then these things can be, I believe, up to 16 high. So I'm going to go ahead and count up 16. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There you go. So that's how tall it's going to be. You're going to go ahead and place your 2 valves in. You don't want them right next to each other because then your pipes will interlace. So now you just fill all of this in. These are more forgiving because if you break them, they will actually return to your inventory, unlike the reactor stuff, which you break it, it's gone forever. So go ahead and put this guy together. And, you know, if you don't have enough to make it the full 16 high, you can always make it a little smaller to start with, and just go from, you know, just kind of build up a little at a time as you get more materials in. We're getting close on this one. Alright, and we're actually going to do something a little bit different at the very top here, so go ahead and finish these sides out. Alright, so on the front here, we know it's the front because see we've got our valves down there. You're going to want to place your controller. Sometimes it doesn't place quite, it doesn't look quite right until you actually complete the multi-block. So now you're going to put the 2. You're going to fill all these in, but you're going to leave the corners open because that's where our advanced solar generators are going to go. So go ahead and place all 4 of those, and now you can see our solar evaporation controller turned itself around. There's our redstone flash, so we know that we have converted into a multi-block structure. And then you can look here, see it says formed, height 16. Actually, you know what? I believe you can go up to 18 on this. My apologies there. And you can see that we're generating heat from our solar panels. This will only work during the day. So if you just keep that in mind. And if you're on a server that has like Mistcraft or something, and there's a Mistcraft world you can use that has like a constant daylight, that would be grand. So anyway, one thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is if you look up here, you can see that we've got 1 block worth of solar panels hanging off the side there. So you're actually going to need to start your next one with a 2-block space in the middle. Again, you have to have 2 of these, and sometimes you like, I know on my survival server that I have one of these on, I actually have 3 towers producing brine and only 1 tower producing lithium. So, alright. Again, I think you can bring them up to 18. I wish these bloody slimes wouldn't spawn. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Alright, and we all the way home. This one is built exactly the same. You don't program or whatever to do the 2 different chemicals. Alright, almost done with tower number 2. Running into the other solar panels would let me go up any higher. Alright, so now we need to place our controller, and then once you plop one of those on there, that controller will turn and face the correct direction. And we, from what I can tell, we did not get a redstone flash, so we may be too tall. Interesting. Now what I have done before, by accident, was place a controller where I shouldn't have. So let's make sure I didn't do that this time. And if not, it just might be too tall. Maybe I'm wrong about the max size. Let's see. Let's try that first before we waste any. Naturally. There we go. forgot to fill in the middle. Lols. There's our redstone flash. Fabulous. So now it's complete. We can look there, it says it's 17 high, and it's also already filling up with some heat, so good deal. Now you need to pump water into one of them to create your brine. I find the best way is to make an Ender IO reservoir. Get you a couple of water buckets. Fill it up. And you can use your basic mechanical pipe. Go ahead and grab my configurator and put that in there. And there we go. So we are filling up. So if we were to fly up here, by the way, your controller has to be up here at the top, next to one of the solar panels. So if you can look here, you can see that we're filling up with water and we're also producing brine. So the next thing we'll need to do is take that brine and bring it over to this other plant. And we want that one to be full, and then now we can see our brine transferring over. And then if we run up the top of this one, you're going to see that your brine's going in and your lithium is getting produced. So the next thing we have to do is turn that lithium into a gas. So in order to do that, you need a rotary condensator, one of these cats. You'll set that guy right there. If you look, you see it says G and L. You don't have to use your imagination to see that means gas and liquid. So turn it, and now you can see that our liquid has connected there. So let's go ahead. We'll grab our basic pressurized tube, some universal cable, because this is going to need power. So our gas is going to come out. And let's go ahead and we'll just stick that creative cell there. Make my life a little easier. Also want to pull out that liquid lithium. And let's see, why aren't we pulling out our lithium? Or is it going straight in here and I don't see it? No? Alright. Lithium's going somewhere. Oh, there we go. I see it. A little bit of a tiny thing there. Alright, and let's see. Are we getting any yellow in this tube yet? Not that I can tell, but we'll go from there. The next thing is this little solar neutron activator. Now these little guys, let me go over here and I'll show you what all we're using here. If you're at all familiar with Mekanism, you already know how to make your basic tubes. Not really gonna go there, but this HDPE is a super pain in the hiney to make. I could do a whole nother video on setting up to get this HDPE done. It's quite a pain in the neck. So that's for your solar neutron activator. The other thing you're going to need to make your refinery, to make your fuel for your reactor, is a chemical infuser made gas tanks, dynamic tank, enriched alloy, basic. Here's our rotary condensator. So you got a gas tank, dynamic tank, steel casing, glass. Electrolytic separator. Most people are familiar with the mod, have used this before. And electric pump. This little dude is just my best friend. I love him very much. So it's one of my favorite pumps because it's effective, yet it's very energy efficient. So, alright, you can see now that we are filling up nicely with the lithium. Next thing we're going to do is take some of the solar neutron activators and plop them down on top of this liquid lithium. And what they do is actually convert that gaseous lithium into gaseous tritium. So let's see, what are we? It's acting like it's not getting power. Alright. Got some. Ah, there we go. Deconcentrating. That's what I did wrong. Ha ha. And it's still wanting to act like it's not getting power. So let's put the power coming in at the top and see if that makes it happy. Well, it's made one lithium. Oh, there we go. Looky there. We've got some lithium going in there. And our lithium levels are steadily going down. So we are producing. Next thing you know, we'll have our tritium. Watch this. Alright, so that is that blue stuff there. That is your tritium gas. So that is the first part of your DT fuel. So you got the lithium coming in. That's going to show empty until it fills up this pipe here. So, and what you can do with this is go ahead and route this all to your reactor. There we go. And now if we were to jump up here on our reactor controller, and we click on our fuel here, we're going to see that we're filling up with the tritium. So, awesome. The next thing we're going to do is make the deuterium gas. This is actually really simple to do compared to all that jazz over there. That's it. That's seriously all you need is... Oh, we're going to need that tube though. Is your electric pump, your electrolytic separator, obviously your pressurized tube universal cable, and some mechanical pipe. So what you're going to do is take and make your infinite water source, where you got a 4x4 block in, or a 2x2 block in there, and then you've got oh, freaking treasure slimes, Jesus. So, alright, so now we've got our infinite water source. We can go ahead and bust that. Going to set our energy cell there, and then you can see we are pumping up water, but what we actually need is the pump upgrade to pull out heavy water. So that's that filter upgrade right there. Let me click on that, and then there's the recipe. Pretty simple. Got some tin ore, or some tin dust, some glass, and then an enriched alloy. So pretty simple stuff there. So you're going to open up your pump and click on your upgrades. Activate your filter. And what we're going to do see. You know what? I don't want it to suck up any water before I get that upgrade put in there. Is my upgrade still in there? No. Alright, so now if I replace my energy cell, you'll notice that whenever I click on that, I'm actually pulling up heavy water. So it's a little bit slower to pull up, and it's a really dark blue in color, unlike this light pale blue water. So, got our electrolytic separator. I'm going to go ahead and set that down, and I'm just going to use some universal cable to connect it to this creative cell. There we go. Electrolytic separator, pretty simple. Water goes in on the blue side, gas comes out on the red side. So, let's get some basic mechanical pipe here. The water is going to come out of the top. Alright, and do I need to do anything? Nope, why is it making... Alright. So, you can see we're making deuterium and oxygen. So what I'm going to tell the oxygen to do is dump the excess, because we don't need that. But we do need the deuterium. So what we're going to do with that deuterium is it's already in gas state. So we don't have to do anything there. Oh, that's the oxygen side. Okay, let's see. Put my power coming in on the back. Put my water coming in on the back there. We're dumping oxygen. There we go. That's our deuterium coming out. So, all you need to do is... Oh, using the wrong cable. That's what's wrong. So, you don't want these two to tie in. So you just want to give yourself a little bit of space here. Alright, the last thing that you need to do to complete the setup is put in this chemical infuser. What the chemical infuser is going to do is it's actually going to combine the deuterium and the tritium into DT gas. So, and it's going to take a little while for all the deuterium to catch up to make, so we'll just let that kind of do its thing. Again, you're still looking at a gas here. Nope, I didn't want to do that. If I put it on that side, it's going to connect as well. Alright, so I think I just need to back this up a row, and that will be easier. Oh, right there. Chemical infuser. Deuterium gas. Now we can safely get it out without it connecting to other things. So there you go. What a process. So we'll go over this again. You've got your water going into one tank, producing brine. Goes into the other tank, comes out as lithium. Goes from a liquid to a gas, goes into the solar neutron activators. Gaseous liquid lithium turns into gaseous tritium, which goes into your reactor and also into this chemical infuser. Slowly filling up. There's deuterium slowly filling up. Oh, we got to give him a power source. Let's plop this down. So, up, and you can see, here we go. Now we're producing our deuterium gas. And then over here, we are steadily producing our heavy water. It's just a slow and steady battle there. So let's see, do we have any deuterium? We got a little bit of deuterium here, so it's working. It's a slow process, but it's working. We click on here, look at our fuel. We can actually see that our fuel rate is, I'm sorry, our fuel levels are totally full. So obviously we haven't turned it on, so we have no heat. Statistics, air cooled, which is the only thing I've dabbled with. You're going to want to set your injection rate to 2. It shows how hot it needs to get to ignite. And then it says, kind of passive generation. This will actually change once you're actually running your reactor. So, alright, that's the basic setup of the refinery that it takes to make the DT fuel for this reactor. So let's go ahead and go over here, and I'm going to show you the deuce. Why is that broken? Whatever. There we go. Not broken anymore. And so in order to start your reactor, you're going to need one of these hole ROMs. So I'm going to show you that. Basically, use a metallurgic infuser loaded with coal. You put 4 pulverized gold, and you'll get an empty hole room. Once you put this in your reactor controller and you fire off your reactor, it uses up this hole room. So you're going to need to make a few of these, because you'll have to use a new one each time. So I'm going to grab one that's full here. Grab a couple full ones and a couple empty ones. The way you will fill these up is to actually go down here to your chemical infuser and place it right there, and it will fill it up. Alright, so we're going to go to our reactor port here, get your hole room, plop it in there, look at your fuel. We have our injection rate set to 2. Whatever you want to set the rate to, you just type it in there. So 2 is, I'm usually pretty lucky with 2. Then you'll go over here, you'll look in your laser amplifier, and in my experience, I've needed anywhere from 500 to 600 kilo RF to start the reactor. So, I mean, this is going to be more than sufficient, but you definitely don't have to wait to get this thing totally full. Like I said, 500 to 600 KRF is usually sufficient enough. So, we're going to flip our lever. Our reactor has started. Like I said, see, I love the animation. It's pretty. I'm all about pretty. Alright, so click on there. You can see that our hole room we placed in there is gone. Look at our heat. We are hella hot. And you can see our case temperature is pretty hot as well. And right now we're sitting on 400 MRF. Look at our fuel. As soon as you turn this thing on, it's going to suck up all of this DT fuel. So it's now running off of the deuterium and tritium here. Statistics, you can see that we are we're putting out 200 KRF per tick. If you increase the fuel rate, then you're going to increase the amount of RF per tick you're putting out. But seriously, 200 RF per tick, like how much more energy does a person really need? I have it coming out through an ultimate universal cable going into an induction casing, which I'll show y'all how to make those here in just a sec. Super easy. Obviously, this is not the first time I've run this reactor, but I would say this is the 3rd time, and that's how much RF I've gotten, so that's just a ridiculous amount. This reactor is not designed to run continuously, so unlike your big reactor with your turbine and all that runs all the time, this one runs in bursts. You let it build up a bunch of fuel in like a reservoir kind of thing, and then you run it until it runs out of fuel, and then it may take, you know, a few hours of gameplay before you're actually ready to fire it off again. But so you have to have something to store the massive amount of energy that this thing creates. So that's where these induction matrices come in. This is another multi-block structure, but it's actually really easy to make. Induction casings, induction ports, you'll need your induction cells, and then an induction provider. I have all 4 of the different tiers. Here you got your basic, advanced, elite, and ultimate. And to make this, it's super simple. Alright. So you can make them any size you want. We're going to make a pretty small one here. So you're going to, needs to be solid. And so the induction providers is what your induction port is actually going to be connected to. And then your induction cells just store energy. Now let's, obviously you're going to need an input and an output on this, on your induction matrix. There's our redstone flash. Now if we click on it, it's actually going to say induction matrix. So this one can hold, even though it's so tiny, it can hold 2 giga RF, which is a lot. And that's just using the basic, your greens. You'll have, so you've got this port here, you shift right click with your configurator, and that one will turn into output. So you'll have this side up facing your reactor, taking in that energy, and then you'll have this side with the energy go into your machines. And you can see we are still steadily cooking along here. You can see that the animation has slowed down a little bit, so that's how we know that our reaction has slowed down. If we were to go to our heat here, you'll see that our heat levels are dropping, and we're putting out a little bit less RF per tick, but well, it still says 200 there. But so let's go ahead and look over at this infusion matrix, and we can see that that level has grown tremendously. This is a 5x5, and this one only has the green cells in it. So you can see that it holds 10 giga RF total. This one has the advanced, you can see it holds 80 giga RF. On this one, which is this is what the blue tier holds, 640 GRF, and this one, which is the purple tier, holds 5.12 TRF. So if you can fill this up, you'll have to run this machine once in the entire time that you're playing Minecraft, once that thing is full. I'm thinking that could run some laser drills for a really long time. So you can see our injection rate too. We are still at a surplus on our chemicals. However, our heat is steadily dropping. So what we can do is we can actually bump up this rate. So it's going to be using up more fuel with each tick, and you can see that our temperature is rising again. And we are actually doing really well. This has been sitting here for a while, so I imagine, I figured we'd have more of a surplus than that, but in these, But so far, our plant is keeping up with our reactor. Now I also have it set to constant noon, so this plant's just going to produce a lot more energy than if you're on a regular survival server with a day and night cycle. So anyway, that is the setup for the Mekanism reactor with all the information that I can think to share with you guys about making this cat work. And these induction matrices, those are the coolest things ever. So anyway, thank you guys so much. I'm just curious to see how much power this little dude has in it. Oh look, let's see if we can fire this one off. We just set our fuel rate, started at 2. There we go. That one started up as well, so you can see that the reactor we made together is also working. Now, because this refinery is not as big, you can see that it's not going to run for very long. But it's already putting out a lot of energy. So, and even after the animation stops and the reactor is technically turned off, so long as there is still heat inside the plasma, it will continue to create passive energy until that heat reaches 0. So, there you have it. Thanks for watching.